Hey guys, it's Neal Rockwell and
I'm Danji.
We're here, your online beer bros, and today we're going to be comparing two very classic Pilsner beers, KÖNIG Pilsner and CARLSBERG. This is the question that everyone's been asking. These are two great beers, really like big sellers, and we want to know all of the differences between them. They're both a Pilsner. They're both made in Europe. But
probably globally available brands that you may well know from your local market, but confronted with the choice between the two on the shelves, you are confronted with the question, what is the difference?
And we're making this vid here because Danji and I were having that very question, that very line of questioning.
Not an hour ago.
Basically an hour ago.
About an hour ago.
So we're going to look into this, and over the course of the next 35 to 50 minutes, we're going to get to the bottom of these two beers, how they're similar, how they're different. We're going to compare them and contrast them. So let's get started. Danji, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, to drill down on the peculiarities here, we're going to first test the unopened cans for weight. The Kerpi is coming in at 518 grams.
I think you guys should know Kerpi is the cool lingo used in Germany to discuss this beer.
KÖNIG Pilsner.
Now we've got the CARLSBERG. So in theory, these beers are exactly the same.
Except one is Danish.
No, but I mean in terms of their dimensions and volumes. But we're going to see, is that real or is one of them skimping?
517 grams.
What, the other was 518?
There is a gram more in the Kerpi can.
So there's a point for the Kerpi, for the KÖNIG Pilsner.
We're not sure though if they're augmenting their unopened can weight with excess aluminum.
Right.
Or if it's
CARLSBERG, is it just is the KÖNIG's, it's German, is it a sturdier can? Maybe that's something that's important
Might
culturally.
be better designed.
Maybe it's a better designed can. The cans look quite similar. So maybe that's Danji's take. My suspicion is that maybe we're getting stiffed on the CARLSBERG on that level. So
there's no way to know.
Make your own judgment.
Okay. So I think, Danji, should we do an opening? Should we open some cans now?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'd like to do it at different times to hear if there's a difference in the sound.
So Danji is a trained musicologist.
We have our audio device here to measure.
We've got the Boss ME50 here. So we're going to do an audio analysis to begin with. So here, it's not really my domain, so I'm going to hold this up to Danji's ear.
Excuse me.
And, even though this is might not seem scientific, Danji, no pen. No, it's okay. We're just comparing beers for the internet. But Danji can hear between like a half a decibel difference, and he's accurate up to a third of a hertz. Okay, so we got that one.
Wow.
That one. Before we get into the KÖNIG Pilsner, what's your take on that open?
It's a really like symphonic sound, like it's a full orchestra kind of music, and I like that. It's got, it had like a very like wide noise dispersion, like from brown noise, pink noise, white noise, it's all in there. And like an excellent like effect slap at the beginning that really like brings the snap of that open home.
So we've got a lot of colors in there. It's a bright, big open. That's pretty exciting. So next,
that's what I look for in a can snap.
So next we're gonna see, that one had a great snap.
We're also gonna notice that it does have a green tab. It could have something to do with the sonic characteristics.
And KÖNIG's Pilsner has no color whatsoever.
Standard classic silver tone.
So I'm wondering if maybe, I was gonna say maybe this was the lighter can, so I was thinking maybe that made up for the weight, but that doesn't make any sense. So here we got a new,
woo, it's snappier. It's brighter. It's got more definition. It cuts through the mix in a different way. You're gonna hear this from further away. If someone's cracking a Kerpi, you're gonna know blocks away. Whereas if someone's cracking a CARLSBERG, you might have to be in a closer radius.
This one's very loud. It was at least 300 decibels.
Yeah, it's much louder than a jet engine.
It could be quite damaging to your hearing, so do wear hearing protection when you're opening this beer.
Yeah, don't do what I just did at home.
No, Danji's trained. Yeah. His ear can handle that, but your ear probably can't. So would you like to pour us some samples?
Let's pour.
So should we each pour a beer, just for equality's sake?
I'd like to catch the feel of each pour, so maybe each of us can pour one of each.
Okay, we're each going to pour one of each. We've got 4 glasses here, as you may have noticed.
I'll refrain from commenting on my pours. I'll do 2 pours, and then we can comment after.
Okay.
And as it's a Pilsner, we're going to let it have a little head, and we're going to let it settle. This is a traditional way of pouring these beers, also from a tap in a bar.
You want a head on a beer. That shows that it is carbonated. If you don't get any fizz when you open your can, then you know something's wrong with your beer.
Both are looking heady and beautiful, to be honest, I have to say.
Hey, we're not...
Oh, I was supposed to refrain.
No, you could be biasing my opinion. So I'm a slant pour. I don't know, maybe that's not... I have to pour like Danji, because otherwise it's going to... So here's... Oh, wait, hold
on, this is Kirby.
That's KÖNIG's Pilsner over there. Here's a Carlsberg, so I'm going to do it in the same order, so we don't... For the sake of science. Oh, that's a light feel. Good. That's a nice feel. It's a nice can feel. You can see that this is German engineering here. So, let's start with you, Danji. Why don't you give me your take?
The major difference I have on the hand feel of the can pour is that you'll notice if you have each of these clutched in one of your grips, that the Kirby can has a matte finish, whereas the Carlsberg can has a glossy finish.
I noticed that too.
Neal's a photographer, so this is a distinction he's familiar with working inside of. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I'm also a materials scientist.
Okay, yeah, right. Not to mention.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure on the material science on how they're getting this matte, rough, hand feel on that can.
Nanotechnology.
Okay, that's fantastic. So
I think that's
the Germans are excelling. It really does feel like a fine experience.
The Germans are really ahead of the game in terms of can technology and can finish,
as well as can the band.
Oh, maybe.
Well, so, to each their own.
Yeah. So should we taste some beers now?
So this is Kirby as well as this.
So let's analyze the color actually. So first of all. So here's KÖNIG's Pilsner, the Carlsberg. They're very similar in color.
They are very similar in color. However, if I were to say that one was slightly darker, I would pick one. Would you?
I also do think one of them is darker than the other slightly.
And it's the Danish.
I would say, I would also have to agree with you.
The Carlsberg is a slightly darker color.
So this one is a nice urine color, and this one is more the consistency of apple juice. So you've got the Germans, they like a fresh flavor. Germans like bodies. And this looks like a product that came out of the body. Whereas this one, it looks more like, it kind of reminds me of orchards and running through fields.
Now I'm noticing another difference in our heads. We have larger bubblification, larger bubble particles.
In the KÖNIG's Pilsner.
In the KÖNIG's Pilsner, absolutely. We have a finer foam from the Carlsberg.
Yeah, look at, both of our glasses have bubbles sticking to the big bubbles.
Both of them exhibit the same, which means that this is not
That's not just random.
Yes.
This is a sample size of 2. It's very scientifically accurate. And I like, you know, the Carlsberg has a nice froth. Kind of like you move it around, it floats.
That's right. The
other one is sticking a bit.
That's true. It's got legs, as we say.
Yeah, in the beer industry, they call this legs. This beer has legs, and in wine, you want legs, but in beer, maybe not as much. So we do have the thermometer in the beer now. So
we're going to have to wait a second to get a reading on that.
The KÖNIG's Pilsner.
It's still going down.
Okay, it's about 15 degrees now, centigrade. We're in Canada, so we use the metric system for those American viewers who are confused about this.
It's dialing in at pretty much 10 degrees right here.
Is that 10 or 15?
Excuse me, that's 15. I'm sorry.
That looks like.
I don't know how to read the metric system.
Danji doesn't know. Danji's American. He doesn't understand how to read.
Okay, well, the Kirby in our glasses is dialing in at 15. So this isn't necessarily the ideal temperature to serve this beer if you're trying this at home.
I'm a bit confused.
It doesn't make sense, right? It should be colder than that.
It has been sitting out on the table for at least an hour, so I don't know how it is still this warm. Oh, it's down. No, it's
it's inching towards 14 there.
Okay, so that one's somewhere. It's less than 14 degrees.
Light.
Or it's less than 15 degrees. We can be certain of that. That's science.
This is not necessarily to give you a serving suggestion on the temperature of your beer. That's like a personal
we just want to make sure.
We just want to make sure that you know at what temperature we're tasting this, because that can really change the flavor profile of some of these nutty European Pilsners.
Yeah, these are very nutty beers. They're dangerously nutty, some of them. And, you know, if they're too warm, you're going to get a lot of nut in the mouth all at once, because the cold temperature of the beer helps really, like, it moderates the nut a bit because it's more congealed. So this one looks like it's about 16 degrees.
Interesting. A higher specific heat, perhaps?
Yeah, I think maybe that's why it's heavier. Mm-hmm. That's definitely could be a reason why it's a bit. No, this is the lighter can. That's why it's lighter. I think actually, that's what. Sorry, I'm getting that backwards. When you have this is a lighter beer. You could call it a light beer.
I'm also hearing allegedly rumor that Kirby to another another thing that they may be engaged in is using small amounts of heavy water in their brewing process.
Oh yeah, I heard you
increase the density of the final product.
You were telling So they use heavy water. That's
allegedly.
Also known as
allegedly.
Also known as deuterium. It is produced in a nuclear reactor, and Germany did have to shut down all of its nuclear reactors. Or they promised to shut them down, and I guess they still had a lot of heavy water left over.
Allegedly, there are rumors that Kirby may be running its own small nuclear reactor just to be able to make deuterium to increase their can weight. I
did hear a source on the internet that they are running a clandestine nuclear program. So
we aren't saying that. We're just reporting that other people have made these potential claims of allegation.
You should do your own research, Absolutely. But I feel pretty certain about it from everything I've read.
Data looks good to me as well.
We've seen a lot of data. So this beer, I don't know why, this beer is a little bit under 15. So each beer can vary in temperature by a half a degree, say, to a full degree. One of them was a full degree more, and now
it's something to be aware of when encountering beers in the natural world.
This is the last Carlsberg.
It's also a little warmer. Look at that.
This one seems a bit warmer too. So my beers are warmer than Danji's. I think that might be because of my energy. I've got like a positive energy where Danji is a pretty big downer, and he will bring you down. You don't want to hang out too much. You don't want to spend too much time with. He's like a pretty cool guy, but if you spend too much time with him, you will become clinically depressed. It's happened to me, so you know you're probably safe because you're watching this on YouTube, presumably. But just watch out. Don't watch these videos.
It's one of the reasons I'm wearing sunglasses. Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm, yeah. It protects me. It protects the viewers. If you look into his eyes, you just see the empty void.
Deep dream.
You'd see the void. Okay, so I'm gonna take out my retainer, so I can taste through your. It's not recommended to drink liquids or consume foods with your retainer in. It makes them smell really bad, and that's gross. Like, you're out there, you're trying to seem cool, you're trying to sell your idea to someone. You definitely don't want.
You're cracking a can. People within blocks are hearing this, especially if you're cracking a Kirby. And people are going to come running because they're excited about this event. And if you're caught with your hand in your mouth, pulling your retainers out at that moment because you forgot beforehand,
and they're covered in beer. The beer is already has living organisms in it, and they get stuck. Enzymes. Those enzymes are really in there, and you're going to seem gross. And just remember, you've just let everyone in the whole city know.
Virus.
If it's which one was it? The loud one, the Carlsberg? Was that? No, it was Carlsberg was the really loud one?
No, Kirby was louder. Carlsberg was more full frequency.
That was more, it was kind of a warm, embracing tone, whereas Carlsberg is kind of like 3 Concords taking off at once.
No, it was the other way around.
Which one?
You can roll back and confirm, but I believe that the Kirby was the much louder crack.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, okay.
No, that's what I'm saying that too.
Okay, okay, we agree.
So we're both gonna drink. How about you drink? You drink the KÖNIG Pilsner, and I'll drink the CARLSBERG first.
I'll follow your lead.
So it's got kind of a sour smell.
Wait, we have to do this at the same time. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm still. Okay.
I'm gonna smell along with you.
Okay.
I'm gonna hear your notes while I.
So this is how science works. We're doing it on the fly. So we had an idea, and then my idea wasn't very good, and Danji challenged my idea, and that's how we advance knowledge.
Hypothesis, antithesis, synthesis.
So this does smell. It's got a kind of a bitter smell, like beer.
It actually smells like beer. It's a little bit surprising to me, and I don't want you to be alarmed at home, but it smells largely like beer.
But it also smells a little bit like it's like a bit like herbs and shampoo.
It does smell like shampoo.
Yeah,
you're right.
It's a little bit like Selsun Blue, or it's got notes of Head and Shoulders.
A little Head and Shoulders in
dandruff shampoo.
Yep, and a nutty interior.
Does have a white head, am I right? So I'm tasting the beer now. It's going down pretty smooth. It's a bit warm from sitting in these glasses from all this time, and my hand is warming it up also, which makes it taste much worse. So wait, you've got the Carlsberg, right? Yeah, definitely.
Indeed.
Even the color you do in the tiny bubbles. Okay, so it's pretty smooth. Doesn't taste too much. It's not a strong beer. It doesn't you can't really taste the hops. It's not like a New England IPA or an IPA made in New England.
Certainly not. Certainly not, Neal. This has Denmark written all over it.
It does seem a lot like it's quite moderate but stylish.
Absolutely, just like the Danes.
You feel like there's a lot of planning that went into this beer.
2 colors of green were chosen.
It reminds me of the sea. Okay, now this is a thing that this is a little bit, we're getting a little bit off topic here, but I've often found it quite funny. This can, when I look at Carlsberg, sometimes I think of Ireland.
For sure.
Like it's green.
It's very green.
The bottle caps have a thing that looks kind of like an image that kind of looks like a clover on it.
A little shamrock.
So I feel like that's
Indeed, this insignia above the R.
Right, does that not look...
Also has like a 3-leaf clover shamrock, sort of like distorted shamrock feel.
It's pretty Irish.
So there might be some cultural appropriation going on here.
I was concerned about that myself. But I also was just concerned, like sort of, this is just lending more to the argument that Carlsberg, while a great beer, is trying to deceive you a little bit. Not that missing gram... The Irish can, which it's not a stout. It's a totally Danish beer. They only make this beer in Denmark. So I don't know. You guys can figure out what you want to figure out from that. I'm not putting any ideas in your head, but just let it be known.
There's some notes of deception in the taste.
That's
as
the
well.
Taste is a bit deceiving.
You can notice this. Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
All right, moving on.
So now we're going to the KÖNIG Pilsner.
Ooh, it smells. In comparison, there's a distinct smell note of honey. Would you agree?
It's a bit more mellifluous. It has a mellifluosity.
That does smell sweet.
But not too sweet. It's kind of it has a crisp taste.
It doesn't taste like honey. Ooh, it's much more bitter.
It is a more bitter beer. A bit. I've never drunk urine, but from what Danji's told me about the taste of urine, it is a little bit similar, because that's Danji's thing, not me. Like, I do like to know about a lot of different things, but I don't drink urine. So
shouts out to Renee for teaching me everything I know.
Right. So, this is
rest in power, brother.
It's both sort of a point of shame and a point of pride, but Danji has drunk a lot of urine. So yeah, definitely it's a bit harder. Kind of like techno, I guess.
It has more of a, there is more nut here. There's more nut in my mouth.
You need to cool this beer because you're gonna get massive nut in your mouth otherwise. Like I'm getting a bit too nutty here. It's like the nut is exploding a bit because we did leave this out of the can, out of the fridge.
That's correct.
So
that's correct. And we let it have some air, which will also increase the nut.
Yeah, heat plus air equals maximum nut.
So one thing that we haven't commented on yet, but now perhaps in our final notes we can think about is also we have the Carlsberg is a 5% alcohol by volume beer, whereas the Kirby is coming in at a moderate and reasonable 4.9% alcohol by volume.
That is a bit more reasonable, but also I think, now I feel like that's a bit now it's not, this one's maybe missing a gram, but it's not missing a gram when you calculate the final alcohol by volume. You're getting the same alcohol because this one's, you've got an extra gram, but you have a
little less alcohol.
A little bit less alcohol, and I should put my retainer back in.
Which weighs less.
Now that I'm done drinking, because I'm undergoing a process where I'm trying to correct various inaccuracies in my bite, and if I don't wear this as much as possible, it really prolongs the experience.
He has to wear them so his fangs don't grow out on the full moons, but it's fine.
At least I don't drink urine.
Sure.
So, I think we've done a pretty good job. They're very similar, really fundamentally.
Indeed.
One of them, I don't know, if you had to choose one, which would you choose, Danji? I think we got, now is crunch time.
I know my answer. Do you know yours? I'll ask you first.
You know what? I don't like those big bubbles. I don't like the big bubbles.
Okay.
And, I really like Ireland, so being able to kind of live in a fantasy.
I understand
where I'm St. Patrick's Day every day. A little bit. I can't fully maintain this fantasy. It's a bit of bad faith. I do have to, I am brought back to earth at various times about kind of the emptiness of my life and how I'm desperately alone. But I do like imagining myself in Ireland, drinking this beer and enjoying the reverie of St. Patrick's Day. So I'm going to have to go with the Carlsberg.
Fascinating. Well, I'm going to disagree. I prefer a nuttier mouthfeel. I prefer the grip of the matte, rough can on my masculine hand.
See, that's where I have to disagree with you. I like this is a traditional can. It's very smooth.
That's not wrong.
You can drop it more easily, but then you've got to bring that knowledge, that practice to drinking this beer.
Yeah.
And so there's more engagement with this beer.
It could be recommended to pour this beer wearing gloves because of the extreme slickness of the can.
If you have really shaky hands or you just can't...
Whereas with the Kirby, you're probably going to be all right. The Kirby, you're probably going to be all right with that.
This one's a better beer for a beginner.
I guess that's true, but or very masculine-handed people.
People with hands that are too masculine, I suppose.
Because you want to have that rough grip. You want to be gripping
sandpaper
in your hand
this is being more masculine.
This
is a bit more masculine because you actually have to have that practice.
Well, agree to disagree.
All right. Well, okay. So there you have it. We've analyzed the beer. They both were about the same temperature. One of them was very loud.
That's true. That's the other thing I prefer about the Kirby. I love the heralding function of its loud pop.
Whereas this one's more it's like a siren song seducing me with its whispering tones.
And that's the difference between me and you.
We are quite different. Like Danji, like I said, don't spend too much time with this guy or else you will find yourself contemplating suicide.
Don't talk with this guy too much or else you'll realize how fucked up the world is.
No, yes. Okay, well, anyway, so we're going to leave it there. But thanks for spending this time with us. Hopefully this has increased your understanding.
I still got to weigh these toothpicks.
Oh, yeah. And so just remember, this video was brought to you by Thursday Plantation, maker of tea tree chewing sticks. They're delicious, and they keep your teeth fresh and free of embarrassing detritus.